Hello everybody, my name is Alexander de Poder. I'm a Porsche certified brand ambassador at Champion Porsche here in South Florida. And thanks so much for joining me here on my YouTube walk around video on the 2026 Porsche 911 GT3 Touring. If you appreciate my YouTube walk around videos, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you like my videos, and feel free also to comment down below. With any comments, I will respond to you accordingly. You can also contact me directly via cell phone or email with my contact information being in the video description. About a week and a half ago, we did another video on the 992 Generation 2 GT3 Touring. We had almost 15,000 views on that video in just a matter of a few days. So a lot of interest in seeing content on the latest generation GT3 Touring. So today I want to present you our second video. Again, the 2026 992 Generation 2 GT3 Touring. In this case, finished in ice gray metallic. We're going to talk about all the details on the outside, on the inside, and talk about the design changes and mechanical changes Porsche has done now for the latest generation GT3 Touring. Before we do so, let's talk a little bit about the predecessor. So the predecessor, based on the 992 Generation 1, was introduced in model year 2022, was produced till model year 2024, and now we have the redesigned version, which was a short run of 2025s, and now the first 2026 models are coming out. So let's start with the exterior details first, from a visual and mechanical standpoint. Let's take a look at the front bumper, where we see a quite heavy redesign versus the Generation 1 from both a visual as aerodynamic aspect. So the previous generation, the Dot 1, had lights integrated within the front bumper design. You can see there are no lights anymore. Everything is integrated within the new generation LED headlights. This one also has an optional headlight configuration called LED matrix design. We can see that the outer ring is a white finish, which looks very nice against the ice gray, which is a cool little design detail Porsche offers on these new LED matrix headlights. Then also looking at the front here, we can see these new air blades. We call them air blades. They are available in different finishes. You can leave them unpainted for the standard car. Then you can do them in exterior color like this specific vehicle. But they're also available in carbon fiber. Again, a very big difference to the previous generation, which had no air blades like this whatsoever. Now it is different visually, but you can also see aerodynamically. You have these intakes here on the side, which stream the air in a more efficient way, where of course aerodynamics and drag are very important for these generation cars. You're also going to see a very different front splitter to the Dot 1. In terms of dimensions, it's also now specific to the Touring. Now downforce in general is not that important for the Touring, but the overall downforce level of this car is higher than the Generation 1. Another cool factory option that this car has is the 911 name that is now in the mesh here of the intake. Something that we did not offer on the Generation 1 GT3 Touring. Of course, still the name here, GT3 in the front splitter. Very cool sporty aspect, but to have that 911 in the mesh is, I think, a very cool little detail. Specific again only for the GT3 Touring. Now the hood is still made out of carbon fiber, the same for the fenders. Painted in this case in ice gray metallic, so not noticeable really, it's carbon fiber. You can hear it when you slightly tap on it, and of course when you open it up you can definitely see it's carbon. But also the fenders are carbon. Another big difference, we talked about it in the previous video, is the optional Leichtbau package, also known as lightweight package in English. So that's a new package that we offer for the Touring models. For the GT3 wing cars, we now offer the Weissach package, which again in essence is a more lighter, more extreme version of the GT3 product. Now Leichtbau or lightweight, the most easy way to recognize it is initially the wheels. So the standard aluminum lightweight wheels are now replaced by the magnesium wheels. Now magnesium wheels are not new to the Porsche brand, dating back for example to the 918 Spider or the Carrera GT, but in more recent times on the 992, the 911 ST. Yes, these are the same lightweight wheels made out of magnesium as the ST. In this case finished in satin dark silver, a matte gray tone. Very cool, especially against the ice gray in my opinion. Right behind it you can see that this is a car equipped with the PCCB, the Porsche Carbon Composite Brake System. Incredible rotors of course in terms of sizing, in terms of bite point on the brakes. Beautiful factory option in this case with the calipers painted in yellow, but also available painted in high gloss black. 20 inches in the front, 21 inches in the back, as we've had it now for a couple of years on the GT cars. Incredible rear section tire, 315, in this case wrapped in the Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s. Which is the Porsche-approved tire. There's some different brands that Porsche uses, but this is the Cup 2 from Michelin. Very sticky, grippy tire, of course. Now this car is also equipped with something called the Motorsport decal, in this case finished in silver. You can see it starting on the hood with the Porsche name, continuing over the roof. Now when it comes to the Leichtbau package or lightweight package, you can get the roof painted in exterior color, or you can get it with exposed carbon. As you can notice, this one has the exposed carbon version. The standard vehicle, the non-Leichtbau vehicle, will have an aluminum roof, but when you go Leichtbau or lightweight, you can see it's carbon fiber, so of course even lighter. And that together with some other carbon fiber elements, lightweight elements around the vehicle, saves around 48 pounds versus the standard car. Continuing to the side of the vehicle, of course, rear axle steering system is standard on the GT3. The 911 ST did not have rear axle steering system from an engineering standpoint, but for the GT3 they retained the famous rear axle steering. And then you can see this one also has the dark window trim, so there's two versions. You have the black version, and feel free to check out the previous video that we did on the oak green Neo car that had the silver window trim, and that ties in also to the exhaust tips. So when you have the silver window trim, you're going to see the silver exhaust tips. When you have the black window trim, you're going to see the black exhaust tips. Very big diffuser also in the new generation Touring. So from the previous generation, the .1, the diffuser was the same part as on the wing car. Now Porsche, from an aerodynamic standpoint, has redesigned the diffuser specific for the Touring in terms of the aerodynamic proportions, and makes the Touring, of course, even more custom tailored to the individual Touring driving behavior. The suspension was also completely redone. A lot of learning came from the 911 ST. So the suspension setup is extremely similar, almost the same to the 911 ST. That's also the same for the steering rack system. So yes, it does have the rear axle steering system, but from a steering feel, it is very similar to the 911 ST. And when they applied this aerodynamic and mechanical setup in terms of suspension on the wing car, they also noticed that the lap times were very, very strong versus the previous generation, the .1. And therefore a lot of ST knowledge coming to the GT3 in terms of increased performance. We're also going to see a redesigned rear spoiler. So again, learning from the 911 ST, where you can see now a beautiful gurney flap, the same as the ST on the rear spoiler. Again, one of the reasons they did that is from an aerodynamic standpoint, but also from a cosmetic standpoint. On the .1, the rear wing had to raise to a quite high level to get the right downforce levels. Now from a visual aspect, that does not look that fantastic. So now with the gurney flap, Porsche does not have to raise the wing to the same extent to get the aerodynamic proportions that they're looking for, but still retain this beautiful, elegant rear wing angle, I should say. Then we see the new engine deck, of course, hiding the gorgeous 4-liter flat 6, still 9,000 RPM redline. They had to do quite a bit of revisions on the engine and the exhaust system to fall within the European emission standards. But yes, it still retains its over 500 horsepower power level. Also with the 8% shorter gear ratios of the new GT3 Touring and the wing car, they were able to increase the performance. So yes, the horsepower is about the same, a tiny bit less torque because of the new emission standards, but the 8% shorter gearing, this vehicle does have a higher performance level than the 992.1. Also, of course, the new updated tail light design from the Carrera models, very three-dimensional. This one has the exclusive design, tail light design there, so we see the clear lens going all the way across. And of course, I mentioned that black exhaust tip a little bit earlier. Okay, let's have a look on the inside, where a lot of redesign has happened as well. And let's start, of course, with these new famous lightweight carbon fiber bucket seats. Let me just get the key so we can turn on the ignition. There we go. By the way, this vehicle also has the painted key in ice gray metallic, as you can see. Beautiful details by Porsche. So yeah, let's turn on the ignition. And before we actually sit down and look at the cockpit, let's look at these new lightweight carbon fiber bucket seats. Of course, the lightweight carbon fiber bucket seats of the Generation 1 were very famous. Seats that we used on the 918 Spider, on the 991 generation GT cars, GT3, GT3 RS. We used them on the 981 and 982, GT4, the Spider RS, the GT4 RS. But this is time for a new generation lightweight bucket seat. One of the things about the previous generation is that if you were using the vehicle on track, in terms of using a racing helmet, the angle in terms of the neck with the helmet in place on the head was a little bit far forward. So now on the new lightweight bucket seats, we have the ability to remove the resting point for the back of the head, and therefore we have more room between the helmet and the backrest, and therefore can sit in a more upright position, which is very favorable on the racetrack with a racing helmet. Also, you can see that the new bucket seats are available with heated seats, which of course for some people that drive them in the winter is a pleasant surprise to get the body warmed up even a little bit more. You You can also see that the general shape of this seat is very different. And of course, also the big news now is that the car is available from factory with back seats, only for the touring version. And of course, for the ability to sit in the back, you have a strap on the side here of the lightweight bucket seat where you can pull. The whole seat comes forward. Look at all this beautiful carbon fiber and the ability for other people in the back to enjoy the GT3 experience in all the safety and seat belts as they need to. And yes, for some people, of course, they say that conflicts maybe a little bit with the Leichtbau philosophy, but of course in the previous generation you had no ability to sit anybody in the back, so the real GT3 experience could not take place with multiple people in the vehicle, and now you can. So very cool that Porsche listened to their clients. There were many touring owners around the world that were asking Porsche to make a version with a 4-seat configuration. And again, it's still a factory option, so if you don't like to have the back seats, no problem, just don't option that specific feature. Okay, time to talk about this new digital instrument cluster. Let's sit down here in the vehicle. There we go. And here we have the new digital cluster. So again, another big redesign from Porsche. One of the cool things about it is very easy to read all the information from the driver. Look also at the center tachometer here with the RPM, where in a true race car fashion you have peak RPM now at the 12 o'clock position of the actual gauge. Very racing inspired, and of course the performance is mostly noticeable in that higher RPM range. Again, the ability to change the way you look at these screens. So you can go to the classic layout with the RPM, peak RPM on the right hand side, but also the ability to customize the way you're looking at these displays. You can see this version, right? Now this is specifically configured for the GT3, so for example in the Carrera models you're able to see some navigation data and stuff like that, but for the GT3 being a more purist racing car derived product, Porsche skipped things like navigation systems. Also retaining still its ability to start the engine with the classic turn here on the left hand side, where the Carrera models have the push start. This one retained the turn start. And being a Leichtbau package, this one also has the lightweight door panels. So you can see that this is made out of carbon fiber. You can also see the net, so this is a very similar door panel to the GT3 RS. And overall, of course, this does save weight versus the standard door panel. Also the use of carbon fiber for the Leichtbau. You can see this beautiful leather with the pattern in there, which is again standard for the vehicle. GT silver stitching, which will be the most common. No deviated stitching package available. And currently also the color for the interior with these seats has to be the black color. Another cool detail ordered on this specific one is the air vents, as you can see, painted by Porsche in ice gray metallic. Yeah, also in the middle, it's hard to see, so let me get out of the vehicle, is that also the center arm vents, air vents are finished in leather with silver stitching. And again, those vents painted in ice gray metallic. Some other cool details is the red fire extinguisher is a factory option. This one also have the Porsche design sport chrono clock on top of the dashboard, replacing the standard sport chrono clock with the GT design, the Porsche sub-second clock from Porsche design. So really cool details inside, outside. The incredible performance level of this 9,000 RPM naturally aspirated screamer, especially with the manual transmission, available both PDK as manual, but most of the Tourings of course tend to be purchased in a manual short shifter. And then when you do the Leichtbau or lightweight package, you get the same gear selector of the ST, which is about 10 millimeters shorter than the standard short shifter from Porsche. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Alexander. I'm a Porsche certified brand ambassador at Champion Porsche, the #1 volume retailer in North America for Porsche product. Again, feel free to reach out to me directly. My cell phone number and email will be in the video description. See you in the next video.